Hi, I'm Holly. This is my student ID. Okay. About Don't Ask, Don't Tell. At first I was kind of sympathetic to, not really supporting, but sympathetic to the justification that they thought that gay people were more susceptible to blackmail. But when I looked into that, I found that was actually attached to ideas with the lavender scare, where gay people were basically thought of as either communist or more susceptible to blackmail by communists just for being gay. And I think that justification is kind of ridiculous, considering that fact. And while Don't Ask, Don't Tell was a development, a good development from what it was before, it still wasn't that great. But we can't really blame Bill Clinton, because he did want to actually make it where they could be completely out without any ramifications, but that almost destroyed his campaign. And I guess this seemed like a good compromise. But overall, I really don't agree with it. However, it was a stepping stone, I guess you could say. About women in combat and the traditional notion that women shouldn't be in combat, I also think that's really ridiculous. But I can see how this developed, because of course there are traditional gender roles for women and men, and men are supposed to do the hard work, all this kind of stuff, and women are supposed to stay in the home and all this sort of thing. But now I don't see why there's still combat exclusion for women, or why there was combat exclusion for women. Because it's not that these women are wanting to lower the standards in order to get these combat positions. It's just that they have the same qualifications and the same physical readiness as the men, and they should be able to be in combat just like the men are. It's not like they're trying to lower any standards or anything. They just want to be able to further their careers in the military just like these men with the same qualifications that they have are doing. And women are in combat roles, and they're just not getting the recognition for it like men are. And so I really think that combat exclusion for women is overall ridiculous. And it's just a classic example of gender discrimination, and that is of course unconstitutional through the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. This was shown with Hagar versus Panetta, and also whenever I was watching that short video, they mentioned, they called it the brass ceiling instead of the glass ceiling in the military, and it's still very existent now, even though women may be allowed to be in combat roles now. Also, one thing that I noted in that video was they said that one's identity shouldn't be more important than their capacity, and if these women have the capacity to do it, they should be able to do it. They shouldn't be excluded from it just because they're women. Along to the Uniform Code of Military Justice and the fact that they still have something banning sodomy, I read up on that, and I just found it to be kind of confusing the way they define sodomy. They define it like this, and I quote, it's Article 125. Any person subject to this chapter who engages in unnatural carnal copulation with another person of the same or opposite sex or with an animal is guilty of sodomy. Penetration, however slight, is sufficient to complete the offense. Any person found guilty of sodomy shall be punished as a court-martial may direct. And I just found this kind of confusing because it seems they don't really make a distinction between same or opposite sex. They just said if you engage in unnatural carnal copulation, and I'm just really curious how they define unnatural carnal copulation. Like, what is this? I guess both, you can commit this with same sex and opposite sex, so it's not just a gay sex thing. Also, there does seem to be kind of a gender discrimination thing here where it says penetration, however slight, is sufficient to complete the offense, which almost makes it seem like only men can rape. I know it's rare for women to rape other people, but it does happen, and it shouldn't just be solely based on penetration. So I had an issue with that. There are several other ways to rape a person without actually penetrating them. So I had an issue with that. That's all.